Family-centered, Christian-based, grown in the heart of the Midwest. Talking to people from all walks of life.
The world needs more encouraging stuff, honest conversation. I always put my biblical spin on everything because that's my foundation. My name's Bubba. What is up?
Got up this morning, did my usual thing, made a cup of coffee. That's usually how I start my day, with a cup of coffee and kind of stretch. And actually, weird, kind of started doing a different challenge off a podcast I listened to a while back, is taking a cold shower in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of...
Okay.
I want to challenge myself with something different. So talk about waking you up in the morning.
Sure. I like it. What is up, everybody? Welcome to part 1 of episode 66 of the fastest growing podcast already in progress, if you couldn't tell by that cold opening. So if you're new, maybe you stumbled onto us by mistake, maybe YouTube messed up and threw us in your feed by mistake, I don't know, but I don't care how you got here. My guest doesn't either. I promise you, that is not a mistake. You are in the right place. We're glad to have a chance to win you over and earn your support. We're trying to create something good here, something encouraging and challenging, both at the same time, but also entertaining. We're going to have some fun on this podcast as well. So if you like what you hear today, please like, follow, subscribe wherever you're listening or watching, and please give us that 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That's kind of a big deal. Maybe even leave a nice comment if you feel led. For bonus content, you can always go to our social media, get in on some of these merch giveaways, these daily episode teaser reels. You can do that on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I don't think you're going to be disappointed by anything we've put out there ever in the last 2 years, so feel free to go as far back as you want and consume as much as you want. But let's get this episode started right now. Have you guys ever been out driving in the countryside and seen those people who look like they're just living in the 1800s? You know what I'm talking about. The guy plowing his field behind a couple of old Clydesdales, or the lady mowing the yard with one of those old school mowers, as the laundry blows in the wind, hanging on the clothesline. Or how about the good old horse and buggy that no matter who's in the driver's seat, they always seem to wave at you? Well, today's guest grew up in the Amish community, but made the tough decision not to stay in it. And he's going to tell us all about it. What it was like growing up in it, how difficult it was to leave it behind. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce a down-to-earth, hard-working Midwest family man, David Raber. What is up, man?
What is up? Quickly comes to mind here, if we'd have done this about 20 years ago, probably would have showed up to your house here in a little bit different situation. I've been in a horse and buggy instead. I pull up in my truck, so yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna leave anything off the table. I was like, whoever this guy is, man, that's, because you don't know when we just talk on the phone like that. You never know. Yeah, I try not to be surprised, but before we get into your story and everything, little small talk here. I would have thought that you said you grew up around here and you don't live too far from here, and I would have thought, okay, our proximity is probably how you found the podcast, but you said, no, that I actually had a guest on that you follow.
Correct, yeah, Brandon Doms. I follow him on social media, a lot of his Trophy Bucks of Iowa stuff. And I'm like, he was on a podcast. I'm like, that looks like an interesting podcast. I'm always looking for new things to listen to or whatever. And I started digging into it. Yeah, I really liked it.
That's it.
And then I think when I messaged you was when you had Pastor Tommy, who's the guy about
Pastor Brooks
with the rooftop in Chicago. And I'm like, man, this is really starting to. I really love what you're doing here with with the people and the whole Christian side of things and people's story and love it. So.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I would have thought just the proximity threw you in my feed, but no, I'm trying to reach interesting people, and yeah, that's good that it drew you in. I got to tell you, when we started communicating, you've got this little signature at the end of your emails, and it caught my eye. It says, always work hard so when opportunities come along, you're ready. And that's at the bottom of every one of your emails. What's the story behind that?
It's just a signature thing. I coach baseball. Okay. It's kind of where it kind of started, but just for me, like growing up in the lifestyle I did, opportunities weren't always easy. You have to. It's a big change in life. So I guess I was always told, if you want something in life, you got to really work hard. So
Sure.
always work hard.
Yeah.
So you never know who's watching you. When that opportunity comes along, you're prepared for it.
Right. I like speaking to young people, especially the football team and stuff. I'm a big Wapsie Valley football fan. And I try and tell them, whether it's the off season or it's, Monday through Thursday, work so hard that when it comes game time, like the game is fun.
Yep.
Do all the hard work leading up. The games are actually already won before you step on the field.
100%.
You know what I mean?
You bet.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Another thing, I don't know. I think I just added this the other day. I gotta just put this in here. I gotta come clean about my Amish joke. I got to. And we didn't. Audience, this is not pre-rehearsed or anything. This wasn't in the outline.
This will be interesting.
I'm not gonna offend you, I'm sure.
No.
But I tell people all the time, I do my house up. It's a nice fall day outside.
Yep.
We're already starting to think, okay, Thanksgiving, Christmas, it's coming up. I do my house real big for Christmas. Christmas lights, everything. People kind of know me for that. And so I always have this joke whenever we start talking Christmas lights or decorations or, Sumner's big display or, oh, did you see so-and-so's house? And I say, yeah, but what I really like to do is I like to go down Amish Boulevard and check out all the Amish Christmas lights. And it's 50-50. Some people fall for it and they're like, oh, I never thought of that. And it's like, oh, gotcha, totally.
That's funny. That's
it.
That's funny.
That's all I got.
That's funny.
So
That's good stuff.
all right, man. Before we get into like the actual details of your story, just real quick, tell the audience, if they don't know you, a little bit about who you are, what you do, stuff like that.
Like you said, Dave Raber. Live in Strawberry Point now. Grew up here, probably about 5 miles from this place, actually,
Okay.
about halfway between here and Hazleton. Married, got wife, 3 kids, 14-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 10-year-old. So they definitely keep us busy. For work, I manage a couple wean to finish hog operations.
Okay.
So I raise about 28,000 pigs a year. So just a little fun fact with that. I did a couple things here real quick because I was just I'm like, yeah. So I don't know if you like bacon. I like bacon.
Oh, yeah.
So on average, I probably raise about 432,000 pounds of bacon a year if I figure that out.
Holy
And
cow.
about 3,780,000 retail cuts of pork. Is about what that comes out to, with like just about 28,800 hogs a year. And I think when I was kind of doing some research, it's about feeds about 80,000 families per year.
Oh,
so it's kind of
yeah.
a cool thing. I'm just a pig farmer, I guess.
No, yeah, you could say it like that, but those A&F, America Needs Farmers stickers that are on the Hawkeyes helmets and everything. Yeah, come on, audience. You know that meat doesn't just land on your plate.
Yeah.
If it's pork, it's coming from guys like David, taking care of it, getting it all the way there to your table for sure. I just had 2 pork loins the other night, man. Just beautiful, pre-marinated. They come, 145 internal temp. You pull them, you let them rest, and they just melt in your mouth,
It's great.
dude.
I think
Love
a lot of people underestimate pork. 'Cause I think a lot of times people undercook it or doesn't cook right. Yeah, I love pork, I guess.
Yeah. I think I didn't like pork chops growing up, but I think it's just they were just too tough and chewy, and I think it was, I don't know. Sorry, Mom. Maybe it was just the cook. I don't know. I don't know. Iowa pork chops are a lot different, I think. But
I agree.
what about hobbies and interests? What do you do for fun?
So I coach. I help coach. I'm the assistant coach for our high school baseball team. So that takes up a lot of time in the summertime. My kids play baseball. My daughters play softball and gymnastics. So that really eats up a lot of times. But outside of that, this time of the year, I really, really love the outdoors. Hunting and fishing, and even just hiking or whatever. The outdoors to me is like a great place. I love it.
It's therapy.
Yes,
It's
it is.
therapy,
If I'm in a bad mood or something's not going my way at work, there's nothing better to me than just whether it's sitting beside the river and just watching the water flow. It's 100% therapy. That it's one of God's greatest creations, I think.
I hear you. I'm with you. 100%, man. But it's funny how your mind, when it comes to deer hunting, for me anyway, me and my father-in-law were just talking about this. You'll be so excited to get out there and get in the tree stand or whatever, or if we go shotgun hunting, opening morning, you're sitting there and you're thanking God, this is beautiful. Yeah. It's quiet, it's peaceful. I'm not at work. And within like 6 hours, if you don't see a deer, your mood just changes. Like there ain't no deer in Iowa anymore, and you get so upset. But you can't do that. It's good stuff.
Yeah, but bow hunting's predominantly when I just more seasons longer, so it gives me more time. I guess. I just something about going out there in the morning. It's dark when you get out there and you watch. Just things kind of come to life. It's beautiful. I don't even care if I shoot one or not.
Yep. That's hunting. That's the joy of hunting. If you don't even care, if I see one or two and it's just like, man, that just made your whole year right there. Just seeing nature in action. I love it. I love it. Okay, let's get into your story, shall we? Let's go back to the beginning, man. What was the childhood like growing up on the Amish farm out there?
So to me, initially, I mean, it's a way of life. So didn't really know any different.
Sure.
Learn how to work at a very young age. A lot of things I'm thankful for that way. Definitely, at a very young age. I remember one of my first jobs or chores was back as young as I can remember, probably 4 or 5 years old, in the fall and the wintertime especially, to carry wood to the house every morning. And it was all, wood heat, no electric or whatever. So that was our job, me and my younger brother, our job was to make sure Mom never had to leave the house, I guess, or whatever. That wood bin was always full. So, yeah, that's one of my first memories as far as work. I remember, too, you said something about the old reel mowers or whatever. I remember, like, in the summertime, that was our job predominantly before we could really do much else. And we were too small or not strong enough to push one of them ourselves, so we'd take like a rope and one of us would pull it and the other one would kind of push and guide it.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
From a very young age, you're really taught to work and, work hard.
I like it.
So maybe that work hard when opportunities come along, you're ready. Maybe that's really instilled deep into my
I'm
mind.
sure. I think that's where it came from, for sure. So you filled the wood bin up once a day, or did you have to go up?
Twice a day, usually in the morning and at night.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you guys do for fun as kids growing up out there?
Fishing. We did a lot of fishing. We played, like in my family, we played a lot of basketball. Like in the wintertime, we'd clean out an area of the haymow. We'd play a lot of basketball. Kind of a funny story there. I remember I was fairly younger, so like Hazleton days, we'd always go to Hazleton days. I wouldn't have been old enough to play yet, but I had some older brothers, and I remember it'd always be like the Amish kids versus the outside kids or English kids or whatever.
Okay. I gotcha.
It was pretty funny because just work ethic. We just kicked the crap out of them.
Really?
Oh yeah.
The city kids? You beat the city kids.
I remember one time. I couldn't tell you the year. Do you remember? Believe his guy's name was Eric Sanders from Owine. He ended up playing football at UNI, I believe, as a quarterback.
Oof. No, that doesn't sound familiar.
I
wouldn't doubt it.
I could have butchered. But I remember them they'd keep recruiting people, and he was supposed to be one of the best athletes but we just kept kind of creaming him on basketball. That was pretty funny. But
wow.
So we did a lot of that, predominantly a lot of fishing and stuff. Growing up hunting, obviously, we hunted a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, there was never a dull moment. Dad always said that if we had time to play basketball or anything, there was work to be done around the farm. So.
Oh, sure. Sure. Man.
But yeah, a lot of that. Like in the wintertime, cold, so no TV, obviously. Not supposed to. We can get into that a little bit later on. But lot of reading. We read a lot of books. Of books. Predominantly we did in the wintertime and stuff.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
And what would you say school was like as a young kid?
We thought it was pretty boring, but
sure.
I'd say so. So they don't do all the stuff. So like science and social studies like that, they don't do. So the main ones are reading, writing, spelling. Your basic
math.
Yeah.
Math.
Type of stuff like that. So they don't learn how to speak English. That's their secondary language, I guess. So you learn how to speak English when you go to school.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I always thought it was a German language that they spoke, but it's definitely not German. It's a slang, Dutch, something.
Okay.
So yeah. So for me, I couldn't speak English until I was probably 7 or 8.
Okay.
And then it was pretty broken.
Wow. Okay. So for some of my audience, we're growing every day. We're getting a little bit bigger. It seems like we're getting new followers. We got followers in the southern United States and different things. So sometimes I got to remind people, okay, we're up in Northeast Iowa, the Fairbank, Strawberry Point area, stuff like that. So when we say Amish community, you kind of said like to an outsider who doesn't live in this area and understand, okay, the Amish, they're all around in this area right here. Well, then there's Amish in Pennsylvania and there's Amish over here. And you said even just as they start to spread out, every community is a little bit different.
Yeah.
They're not cookie cutter.
Yeah.
things.
I mean, I could, there's hundreds of communities around there. Yeah. And I can't tell you if one has, like, as far as they all have that basic concept of like simple living.
Yes.
But then, I mean, some have like really strict rules as far as what they can use for, just for instance, like tools and stuff. For me, growing up, we weren't allowed to have chainsaws. We weren't allowed to have weed eaters. We couldn't even have air compressors, no battery tools or anything like that.
Wow. So you guys were way more old school than I see some of them today.
Yes. So, but then as time goes on, I don't know if as the country becomes more modern or they constantly, like, they kind of change their rules and accept. So like now the community I grew up, they can have chainsaws, they can have weed eaters. I mean, just about any power tool that runs off a DeWalt battery.
Yep. Yep.
All that kind of stuff, air compressors.
I see the roofers using air compressors a lot nowadays.
Yep. So they can have all that kind of stuff now, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
I remember growing up as a kid, the fence line or whatever, every weed, we'd have to go out there and we'd have to pull all those weeds. And now they're out there, just with the weed whacker, and I'm just like,
Man.
But it's part of what shapes you and what makes you, I guess, makes you.
Oh, sure. You're
even,
better for it.
Yeah, even like picking corn and stuff, we had to pick everything by hand, but now they have like a 2-row ear picker or whatever they can use. They hook a gasoline engine to it and stuff. And that was probably one of the most miserable jobs ever, picking corn.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, when they're planting or tilling or whatever behind the Clydesdales, I'm just like, look at that. That's Americana right there. That's the simple life. That's hard work, but that's a simple life. And you don't even think, well, those crops got to come out of the ground.
Yeah, the hardest part's the hard part.
That's going to be by hand.
Yeah.
What are the one things, every so often when I drive past a field, there's 2 of them, I think. There's one that's like, it almost looks like a little mound of hay. And then there's other ones that look like stalks that are kind of all piled up and leaned up against each other.
Okay, so you're probably like, is one more in the summertime and one in the fall?
Probably, yeah.
So the ones in the summertime would be oats.
Oats, okay.
So they cut them. It's an old school, I mean, it's a binder or whatever. It'll wrap up a bundle.
Yeah.
So then they shock them. They call them, you build them as almost looks like a little hut. So
Yep, that's it.
Then they dry out. So typically they'll cut them and then they'll leave them out there for about a week to 10 days and they'll dry out because they don't have a
grain dryer.
Or anything. Yep.
Okay.
So they make sure they are completely dry. And then,
so what's the stalks? I mean,
that's probably in the fall when they harvest corn, like silage or whatever.
And so why do they put it in little, like, almost teepees like that?
I'm not sure. I think it's the same concept. They want it to dry out a little bit because they cut it green. They want it to dry out a little bit, but not completely dried because they use it as like a fodder, a bedding, feed type of thing.
You see what I mean? The modern world, the only thing you let lay on the ground is your hay, and that's for, maybe a day or whatever it takes just to dry out.
Just
2
to
days.
dry out. Yep.
That's it. Other than that, when you're going through a field, I mean, you're getting it out of the field. And so that's always...
and so you're, like I said, it's their way of drying. So like ear corn, when they go to pick it, they have those bins that have air come through, and it'll be there all winter. So it can dry out that way. But as far as grains and stuff, there's not really...
I gotcha.
No way to dry them, so that's why they do that.
All right. What was like the teenage, high school type stuff?
Teenage. So like teenage, I'd say up until I was about 12, I really didn't know any different as far as like that we were different than anybody else,
Right, yeah.
But then, like 12, I'd say I started having a lot of questions. I was probably kind of a naughty kid growing up or whatever. So we got curious, like I said earlier, we weren't allowed to, Amish, they're not allowed to have radios, no TVs or anything like that, but we would. I mean, we did buy them. You'd have to hide them from mom and dad, so the only time you got to listen to them was when they were gone. But if they found them, they'd burn them or destroy them.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Boy, that's teaching you a lesson.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what do they call that? Nip it in the bud right there.
So, we would. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many radios I'd go through or whatever, but just the curiosity of the,
Oh,
obviously.
sure. Well, yeah, because when you're a kid, your world is like this big.
Yeah.
Until you are exposed to anything outside of that.
I would say until I was probably 12, 13. I mean, if we got to go to town twice a year, we might go to Hazelton or come to Fairbank here to fish or whatever. But as far as like going to town, going to the store, up until I was probably 12, 13 maybe. I mean, if you got to go to town 3 times a year was probably crazy. Like otherwise, you just did things in the community.
Yep.
You had no reason to go to town.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of their way of just keeping you sheltered and not exposing you to the outside world. Because that's their big thing is a simple life to not get exposed to the outside world.
Right. It's mainly so like you don't end up like getting into sin, corrupted by sin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's to kind of protect you.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, that's kind of their whole theory behind it, to my understanding. But
okay. Yeah, man, when you talk like that, me and my father-in-law were just talking the other day, and he said it was at the dinner table, you always had water or milk, and that was it. He goes, if you got a pop, he's like, that was like a treat. That was not, like us today, you go get a case of pop, it lasts you through the week. And he's like, no, that was a rare thing. So when you say like going to town was a rare thing, it's like, oh, that's.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Yeah, the same for us. I mean, water, and if we were lucky, we got a glass of milk. We got milk though. We milked on a farm, so we got milk quite a bit. If we got lucky, we had chocolate milk. But yeah.
Oh wow.
Soda or pop, whatever was a thing. I mean, it wasn't even like potato chips or something like that. That was like a treat for us.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Or cookies.
I remember what we say. You know the Helmuths.
Yeah,
and Harley started coming to my church a few years back and married Hannah Canfield, and Harley's a good guy. And at their wedding, I remember his brothers were all there, and just hearing them talk about childhood memories, and I can't remember like what he said. They would save up money or whatever, and you could just hear what we would call candy. He didn't call candy. He said you'd get some, and he had like it sounded like he was almost Dutch accent, German accent, whatever. And he's like, and you'd get some sweets and you'd have to hide your sweets. And Harley would always find our sweets, in our hiding spot. And I was just like getting all worked up over candy as a kid. Like, wow, but if that's all you had, like for enjoyment, for fun, for pleasure. Wow.
Yeah. We'd go to my grandma and grandpa's when they passed away on my dad's side. I never got to meet my mom's. But I mean, we'd always get like a sucker or a Smarties or whatever. And that was just like the highlight of the night for going there.
Smarties was the highlight. That's what kids throw away when they get home now.
Right? Still one of my favorite candies.
We need to get kids today back on that ground right there where they appreciate Smarties.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's good stuff. Okay. What about the thing, like you said, sometimes you would come to Fairbank. Well, we used to actually live on the other side of town, on the east side of town. So when the Amish kids were coming to town, we were the first ones to know about it. We'd see them coming by, and so I always knew when it was that one time of year, or I think it's every year, right, where the kids get to cut loose a little bit.
Yeah. So kind of like when they turn 17, they can. That's when they officially they can start dating, and they kind of call it Rumspringa or whatever.
There it is. That's it.
The term they use. So, I mean, they go out and they party and do whatnot. They're not, essentially, the parents don't want them to do that or whatever. But that's, so they can't, so the whole thing kind of bigger picture. Once you're 17 until you get married, you basically, that's the time you decide, hey, I'm going to join the Amish church, or I'm not going to join the Amish church. In order to join their church, you have to get baptized into their church, and then you have to, up until that point, you're supposed to like follow the rules
Sure.
or whatever. You know, as parent, kids, whatever you teach your kids to follow the rules. But there's no punishment or nothing they can really do to you.
Sure.
But once you get baptized and join church, and then you're kind of like you have to live by their rules,
Sure.
or the church
I gotcha.
the church will punish you or whatnot.
Okay, I gotcha.
So from that time, so that's kind of their free time. They just a lot of them.
Oh, we've seen it.
Partying.
We've seen it.
They'll have. I mean, it's crazy. I guess never spend that kind of money, but they'll spend thousands of dollars. The kids will, and like put these giant stereo systems in their buggy. You can hear them coming from 2 miles away.
Yep. I mean,
I don't know if they still do that or not, but
I wouldn't say I've heard the radios in the buggies, but I've noticed one day you'll see them, hanging out up at Casey's, and that's usually kind of the indicator. Ooh, I think it might be that time of year or whatever. And then the next time you see them, that Saturday or something, they're in like street clothes.
yeah.
And you can tell it's the same kids, but boy, they don't look Amish
Yeah.
right now. And it's like, oh yeah, this is that time for them, I bet. And it got really bad one year. I had family up from Louisiana. So, people who aren't from Northeast Iowa or from the East, Northeast, Amish is kind of, foreign to them. They've seen it in books or magazines. But so my family comes up from Louisiana, and we're boiling crawfish over there. So it's an outdoor event, It's a Cajun picnic is basically what it is. And our neighbors had some Amish kids coming over and stuff, and they had the horse and buggy parked in the yard. And some of my little nieces and nephews thought that was so cool to see that and everything. But then by the time, the night wore on, they were getting liquored up pretty good. And they got the privilege of seeing an Amish OWI.
Oh, really?
I had never seen it. But yeah, they had him in the horse and buggy. I don't know if they were waiting for him to leave the house or if he had come in from somewhere else. I wasn't paying too much attention. But they had him pulled over, had the horse and buggy pulled over, and they ended up putting him in the squad car, and someone else had to take the horse and buggy home. And I was like, guys, I'm not going to lie. That's not that's not what you see from the Amish community usually.
No, definitely not.
Wow. But yeah, that's literally what happened. We saw it. And yeah, it's a fun story to tell.
Yeah.
But
So they've changed a little bit. Like you said, they like really into the street clothes. Like when I was a kid, growing up, you would even amongst your peers or the kids your age, we did things we shouldn't have been doing, like drinking and partying. We got into that stuff. But I mean, you wouldn't wear clothes outside of your Amish clothes or things like that. I mean, you would be pretty frowned upon. But now it's kind of more of a norm thing.
yeah, I think it's got to be just that time though, because like when we see them at Island Days and stuff, they're just coming. They're just Amish kids enjoying Island Days. They're still in their normal clothes. They're just riding rides, having fun, whatever. But I think it's only during that little time period that they got where they really cut loose and
yeah, for sure. And I don't think like the community I grew up in, at least out here, I don't think they are quite as bad as they kind of were, or quite as much into it as they were at one time. They're more into like in the whole phone, electronic, and social media type of thing now, which is
yeah.
kind of the new world we live in.
Yeah.
But even with that, I would say the Amish kids today, compared to the Amish kids I grew up, it's no different than out here. They're significantly different as far as the work ethic. They still got a good work ethic and stuff, but I mean, it's hard to find good, hardworking people and whatnot. Everybody wants that easy kind of job type, and you see it even there, at least in the community I grew up in, and the.
Wow.
So it's not just the outside world or whatever you want to call it. I don't
See,
think.
we kind of thought it was, lifestyles got easier, but also that kids are brought up told you have to go to college, you have to get a 4-year, like it's almost a punishment to have a job that you didn't have to go to college and get a degree to get that. It's like, well, we still need plumbers, electricians, garbage. We need everything. So I think we're now starting to see, at least my kids are saying that, like, now you're starting to see you need more skilled tradespeople, which any kid that probably comes up in the Amish community is going to learn something along those lines. Yeah.
Skilled trades.
Skilled trades, yes.
Skilled trade. I mean, you're either like a farmer, you're a carpenter, or you're like a furniture store. A little bit more now. I guess there's a lot more that have stores and stuff like that. Than what there used to be. But, still that whole basic basic concept thing. And I don't know what they do now with as far as some of that other stuff. If they, with like the furniture stores, there's like some guys out there that build trusses and stuff like that. So that's something you never, or steel shops. That didn't used to be didn't used to be a thing when I was out there.
Yeah. Wow, I wouldn't have thought you guys would have kind of be experiencing that inside the Amish community like we are. Like, I mean,
No,
I mean,
I think it's everywhere. I think it's everywhere.
Wow. All I know is when we go deer hunting up at Volga Park up there, I mean, you got the guys that get to post, and then you got the kids that got to go put, because, the deer, they bed down in the thickest, nastiest stuff. And while the rest of us are just sitting out there freezing, trying to find where the Amish are and then park like right next to them. So as those kids go in to the thick stuff and get the deer moving, we hope to benefit from that. But you don't see a lot of the graybeards. You don't see them doing the pushing. You got the young people pushing. So
I got the young generation.
Man, so those clothes, we got to talk about the clothes for a minute. When I see those guys out, it's the winter. So I'm wearing, I don't buy top of the line stuff, but I've been hunting enough years that I'm not buying the cheap stuff because it don't keep you warm. I understand that. So finally got some good stuff. And I understand if I'm cold and then I look at these guys who are wearing identical jackets, the pants, they might have some gloves on and just an orange stocking cap over their straw hat. I'm just thinking, how are you not dying?
Yeah.
Are the jackets that warm?
So the jackets are pretty warm, but the thing is though, like they don't have a zipper.
Okay.
So they just have they call them hookies. I don't know if you ever.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know if I was allowed to use that term. I thought
you're not going to offend. You're not going to offend me. So that term comes from, so instead of like a zipper or a button on their jackets and stuff, it's literally like this little hook with an eye type of thing. So there's still a lot of wind that comes through there. But like in the wintertime, we go to the store and buy long underwear, like long johns and a long sleeve shirt underneath there like that. So.
Wow. I imagine just the way they made the clothes, there had to be something in there but I guess they don't sit still very long. You're not going to get cold if you keep moving.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But I always thought hooky came from not going to school.
No,
it's the jacket. It's the eye and the hook on the hook and eye on the jacket. Wow, I'm going to impress some people. I'm going to kick this knowledge before this episode comes out, because I think everyone I know thinks that it has something to do with you leave the house, you walk down the road to the schoolhouse, but you don't ever make it. You play hooky or something. I was like, that ain't where it came from. Okay.
No, at least that's the way I've always been interpreted.
I'm taking it from you, man. Okay. Well, let's what about the transition from teenage high school years to young adult years? At some point stuff starts to change for you.
Yeah, so I'd say when I was probably 14, 15, I started having a lot of questions. Why this lifestyle, or why we choose this, and I had some questions from my mom mostly. Why this, and she'd just be like, well, this is the way we were taught. This is the way we were brought up. Mm-hmm. So I guess I started exploring more and more stuff on my own. But you're really kind of limited because, well, for me, and your birth certificate, your social security number, they keep all that stuff and they don't give it to you until you're typically until you're of age. So either you get married or turn 20. They don't consider you of age until you're 21 versus 18.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are almost more mature at a far younger age. You got more responsibilities. You can do more. That's weird.
So as a kid growing up, I graduated school. They go to 8th grade, graduate school, and then you either work on the farm or you get a job and go to work. But
after 8th grade.
Oh yeah. And you're basically considered to be able to work and keep up with any grown man.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Legitimately. You're all right. You're 8th grade. You're done with school. It's time for you to grow up and be a man.
You're just starting your prime at that point. That's when you're really getting the testosterone. You're gonna
if you're lucky.
Yeah, you're gonna change from 8th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade. You go from boy to man real quick.
Yeah.
But yet you can't have access to your personal Social Security number, all that stuff.
But
you're 21.
The thing is, though, I think a majority of the communities is this way. Like if I go to work, I work a 40-hour week. I don't get to keep any of that money. It all goes back to like your mom and dad. Like they get to keep it until you turn either if you're gonna get married, they'll let you start keeping it, so you can start building up, or you turn 21. Then you can get to keep your own. Otherwise, it's all going like.
Wow, like you got to be on your own to keep your money.
Yep.
Or if they see you about to get married, they'll let you start.
Yep. Let you start. So except for us, we were, and I think we were allowed. Like if we worked, say we worked at 7 to 5 job or whatever. If we come home and did our chores after work or whatever, and then we went to the neighbors and helped them do some work, or went out of town to do some work for somebody, we were allowed, just like in my family, we were allowed to keep that money as a kind of a spending money. But I think that goes back to like, if you don't have any money to buy, then you can't get into the alcohol. You can't get into, like,
can't get into trouble.
They don't want you to have the TV, the radio, or if it's kind of a more of a control type of thing. I think, if I understood that correctly.
Well, I mean, I can understand maybe there's some good intentions in there somewhere, but it can be abused.
Oh, definitely,
So,
definitely. So
Wow.
I guess where I was going with that. So, I mean, you can't get a driver's license until you're 18. You can't really do anything on your own until you're 18. So without that kind of stuff, you're kind of up the creek, really.
Yeah.
Because a job, you need a social security number, you need a driver's license to get around.
Okay.
So most of the kids have to wait until they're 18. I left when I was 17. There's another kid that left with me here. He already had a driver's license, and I was able to get a job at a farm and work for until I got my social security number, and they kind of did the whole back tax thing or whatever to that way. So yeah. And it was initially an easy lifestyle change, but it was a tough transition. I mean, when I left, I think I had $20 and 2 T-shirts and a pair of jeans and a pair of boots. That's what I got to take with me.
Wow.
We got lucky with as far as like a job, and then there's somebody that worked with us on an apartment and stuff, and so yeah.
You just made it. You just made it work.
Yeah. They don't want you to succeed, and I wanted to succeed in the worst way. So that was probably kind of the driving factor for me, is because I wasn't about to have to come back home.
They want you to come back.
Yeah, they want you to come back, because I wasn't be like, hey, I failed. You're right. The stubborn part of me, I guess, or the competitive side of me, whichever. Probably the stubborn part.
Sure, I couldn't imagine that.
But the flip side of the thing that sucks with that, I mean, you get no support. I mean, they don't, like, as far as support from them. So I mean, you're on your own.
Yeah.
So it was hard. It was hard. It definitely wasn't easy.
I'm just drawing the parallel between my own kids and their ages, and like thinking of asking them to start life with a couple pairs of clothes and $20, like,
and nobody there to. I mean, without your mom. I'm the same way now. I couldn't. I got a kid that's 14 or whatever, 14 some month, and I couldn't imagine. Like,
man. I thought my wife and my brother-in-law, I thought they had it a little tougher in high school, and they did have it a little tougher. They had to like pay for their car insurance, and they had to work a job in high school and pay for school clothes and some of their school clothes. And my father-in-law was just a little more like made them earn it a little bit more than I had to.
Yep.
And you could clearly see they were better with money. They were harder working. They held on to jobs. I went through jobs because I didn't have to work as much.
Yep.
I think you're kind of proving that point. Like, the work ethic is there if you make them work for it. I mean that's wow, but still that's tough.
So wow. it was a pretty crazy transition. I'm not gonna lie. I definitely probably didn't make a lot of good choices right away.
Sure.
Got with the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of briefly told you on the phone when I had that, one of the biggest things I was looking for. I was missing something in life. I didn't know what it was. I thought I could find it, go party it up, and hey, it's all grand, it's good, you get, and then you wake up the next morning and guess
empty.
what? It's empty again. Exactly. And I did some other things that way with I did rodeo for. I wanted to be a part of something, or I think maybe experience that competitiveness, or
oh sure, yeah.
A lot of kids get to experience, and I took a liking to bull riding. We did a lot of bull riding when I was younger, and of course, I mean that entailed a lot more of bad choices too. And stuff.
Well, yeah,
so,
that probably brings a lifestyle with it. Bull riding, dang.
So, but yeah, we did that for quite a few years.
I mean, like you went on the road, or are we talking just like cattle congress?
No, we went on. I competed at the cattle congress. We, pretty much all the way across the Midwest.
No kidding.
Went out to Maine and Chicago. Did a lot of.
Oh, I should have put that in your intro.
No,
Former bull rider. I might have to edit that in. Man, like I forgot. Like we didn't already have an hour-long conversation on the phone. Dang.
No.
So you're bull riding. You're kind of living it up.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point though, like you said.
Yeah. And I kind of. So when my first son was born, 2011. Then I knew, hey, I probably better get a reel, make sure I have a reel. I've always worked, had a job, but I figured, I better make sure, take care of him. And that's kind of when my life started changing a little bit. Still,
okay.
I mean, I used to like to party it up and drink a lot, you know. Just a lot of bad choices that way,
No, I gotcha.
So, yeah, and I think it was... as he got older, and then we had a daughter, and then another daughter, and that was 2000. She was born. My last one gonna make me think here. 2016. Yeah, and I'm like, man, this isn't the kind of life I want them to grow up in, or whatever.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
So I started looking to change, and I still at that point in my life, I was still just, man, what there's a void. What am I missing? I've done about everything I want to do. It's just nothing fulfilling there,
Yep.
So, I mean, we started seeking out some churches and stuff. And at that point, I had to work every other weekend. My wife worked every other weekend. So it's a little bit tougher to kind of to get in there, but couldn't really find a church, I guess, where I thought it kind of felt a little bit like I was growing up where, like part of the Amish thing, I felt like, it's more of like, hey, you go to church and do what you want during the week, and as long as you're going to church every Sunday, that's kind of what mattered.
That makes it right.
Yeah. And I kind of like got some of that vibe from some of the other churches, and I'm just like, that's just, maybe that's not where it's at or whatever. But our kids did a VBS thing as it got older. It was probably 2017 maybe, at Community Bible Church in Strawberry Point.
Okay.
And kind of just guess God met us up with the right people, and we started going to that church, and so I mean, once I finally, I believed in God my entire life. I mean, you kind of were growing up that way. I believe Jesus came and he died, but I was never, I guess, whether I was never taught or I never studied. I mean, read the Bible that way, I guess, to understand. But I mean, I didn't know that. Yeah, he died. I can't earn my way into heaven.
Yeah, it's not works-based, man.
I was always under the impression, hey, if I don't kill anybody, I don't murder anybody, or I don't, and all, as the Bible says, the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt,
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, I'm not breaking any of those laws, maybe I'll be good, but maybe it's not a very good feeling,
No.
But anyway, some of those guys, and they kind of took us under the wing, and I started really, studying and getting to understand more. It's like, wow. But I kind of, before that, if we go back a little bit, I would say, for me, it was, I always thought, like, hey, I want to be a real Christian someday, but I thought, I can't have fun and still be a Christian. You know what I mean? I can't, I can't go out and have fun and do whatever and be considered a Christian. Cause I think that kind of come from my Amish upbringing, maybe a little bit.
Sure.
I would never say I wasn't. I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic. Maybe, I didn't drink that much. The problem was, like, if I go hang out with friends, I could never just be like, hey, I'll have one.
Oh, sure.
It was like I never knew when to stop. Would be my biggest thing, and it's not that I had to drink. The biggest thing for me that way was, when my friends ask me for a beer, if I want a beer, what if I say no? What's my reason going to be?
Yeah.
Gotta have a reason. No, you don't.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the biggest lie the enemy could ever tell you. You don't have to have a reason. I don't want one because I don't want one.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Wow.
But yeah, when I figured that, the whole salvation of Christ, and it's like Ephesians, you probably have it on top of your head. It's Ephesians, you're saved by grace, not through faith. Yeah, that was probably one of the first ones that like truly like I'm just like, wow, holy crap.
Right. Yeah. You can't earn it. You don't work for it, and you're never gonna be good enough.
Yeah.
But he offers it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact, like, I look back on all those bad choices I made and things that I know definitely they're not Christian things,
right.
But it's like, even through all of that, they can be put behind you and never be remembered again.
He still loves you.
Yeah,
he still wants you to come to him.
So I'm just like, I think, to me, I was looking to fill that void when I went to the bar. You get drunk. And you're like, ooh, life's good. You wake up the next morning, there it is. Even with like the bull riding and thing, you'd go out there and you'd have thousands of people screaming for you or whatever, and then, you leave there and that emptiness is still there.
They don't come with you.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I didn't realize, it was probably 2019, I would say, when I know it was 2019 when I got baptized, and I would say we got saved, and when I'm just like, man, I can just leave all of that, and the sense of peace and just I'm
fulfilled.
Yeah. Care. It's like, man, the void's gone. Like just like that. I mean, you don't. It's not going to be easy.
No.
I think for me probably, and I think maybe some people that are going through that, it's like the biggest thing I feel like is people think, hey, I'm going to give my life to God, and everything's going to be easy from there on out. It's about, I mean, I know it was my initial thing where I'm like, man, why am I still going through these? I mean, that's life. You're still going to have bad thoughts or have...
You're going to struggle with the flesh, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I guess, I mean, the biggest message I would, like for people is if you do bad things and stuff, man, just put them behind you and start a new life. I mean, all that can be forgotten. You're not going to find it in a bottle. You're not going to find it anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. 100%.
Which is, wow. It's an amazing feeling. I'm telling you, like it's a...
I love it. You went from a tight-knit community, the Amish community. You leave that. You live life, still searching for the thrills and you wanted to live life a little bit, but you still wanted some sort of community. You had some sort of emptiness or whatever. I like that. And you don't find it until you really... Till you're confronted with the fact that Jesus wants a relationship with you. That's that emptiness you're feeling. And when you come to that and realize he wants you, even with all your baggage and even if if you or me were to fall off right now and do something stupid or whatever, that's why I love the parable of the prodigal son, man. It doesn't matter. If you get to a point where you're convicted of that and you repent and you come back, he's there. Yeah. He's there with open. He actually runs to meet you, Jesus says, and that's why I tell people about the Bible, like, no, the Bible's so much more interesting than you think. It's got so much good stuff in it, so much true wisdom in there. And like you said, being a Christian means you can't have fun anymore. You find it's your definition of fun. Yeah, you're not supposed to go to the bar, get liquored up and all that stuff. And that's not fun. That's harmful. That hurts. Yeah. We are not a couple of guys who have no fun in their lives. I can just tell by you got a lot of joy in your life about certain things. As a Christian, okay, well, where does that come from?
I have a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, you're 100%. I mean, and that's the enemy to a T. I mean, he'll tell you things that or make you believe things.
Absolutely.
And absolutely have. And for me, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. He'll still tempt me, be like, oh, go look back and all those good times. No, I don't want to go back to those times.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Yeah. I know. Here, I hope you don't have this. My son, he does this report last night or whatever where he interviews me, and he asked me a bunch of these questions about like high school and stuff, making me relive these things, like what were some of my favorite things, or if you could go back and do something different, or do you have any regret? And I got to relive a lot of those moments that, maybe you did a lot better when you were a kid as I did, because, man, I just had so many regrets, the way I treated people, the way I treated my girlfriend, choices I made, things like that. But look what God did through
Yeah.
all that brokenness. And as we were talking, a few of our kids were up there. And as we started laying that stuff out for them, you could see it on their faces. They're like, how did you and Mom end up making it?
Yeah.
How? There's no way. Based on what you just said you did and what she's done, and how do we have a Christian family intact? You know, we're still married for, what is it going to be, 24 years? I said, that's the power of God. God can do that alone. Because if you or me had tried to do life on our own,
Yeah.
bro, we'd be face down somewhere probably.
And going back to that, speaking of, like, growing up, I was taught, there's a God or whatever. The one thing I'd always be like, well, I'll change my life tomorrow. I'll change my, when I get older or whatever.
Yeah.
But the one thing I'd always do is, like, I'd pray, but it's like I wanted to be me, and I wanted to be in charge until it was something that I couldn't physically do myself. Then I wanted to ask God for help. So it's like I almost wanted his help when I wanted it on my time.
Oh, yeah.
Not on his time, but on my time.
Yep.
And that
And that's not how it works, man.
No.
He doesn't want to be in the back seat. He wants to be in the driver's seat with you.
100%.
Yeah.
But I'd say going back to the whole Amish thing, one of the bigger things that I struggled with for a long time was the fact, most of them would say, so since I left the Amish community, not all of them would say this, but a lot. So since I left, a lot of them would be like, hey, you're going to go to hell because you left the community. Like the way you're gonna stay saved and be saved is because you're in the Amish community. I actually have a friend where that I know pretty well. His uncle told him, he's going to go to hell, and this guy's he's as saved as they get. And he told his uncle's like, yeah, unless you come back to living, your only chance of getting to heaven's to be Amish. And it's like, man. But I think part of that, they use a lot of the Old Testament type of things. If you go back to there, it's like you shall honor your father and your mother, and they go back to like that as in like when they take that as a literal, like you live the way your mom and dad taught you.
Yeah.
My question when my mom told me that one time, and I was like, I went to the extreme the other way. But I'm like, and this was when I started really having a lot of questions. I'm like, so you mean to tell me, like, if you were drug dealers or hitmen, like, that was what your job was? Because that was what your parents taught you? I'm like, that's right?
No. No.
And it's not. But
yeah. Oh, that's tough. That's tough, and that's a lot. You and me talked a lot more privately about that stuff, and those were some of the questions I had about how their faith system works. I hate using the word religion, but I understand that's how most people view it. It's a religion, but because I kept coming back to you, I was like, well, it sounds like they either haven't read the whole Bible or they don't preach the gospel. They don't make it a one-on-one personal thing, because there's a lot of stuff in the New Testament that
I think if you go really in as far as the religion side of things, I guess. It's a lot of the Old Testament, and they it's almost like they never really come out of the Old Testament. Like I went to my aunt's funeral. It's probably been about a year ago, and like the preacher, he's talking about how Jesus died, was on the cross, raised from the dead, three days for our sins and whatnot. But then, and I'm like, oh, maybe they kind of change from what my understanding.
Yeah, that sounds good.
But then he finished with it, but he's like, if I was to die right now, I just wouldn't know. And I was like, oh no.
Man, yeah, that's
so I'm not sure. I don't question my parents a lot. We have a good relationship. Like we go see my mom and dad all the time. Like some of my brothers and sisters, some of them live further away, so we do go visit them, and they welcome us in the house. The whole family,
good.
Yeah.
Good.
We're not shunned from them or by any means like that.
Good.
So, but I do have a lot of questions. I don't know when the time is right. I guess I prayed about it. So
he'll put it on your heart.
Yeah.
When that door's open.
Yeah, when that door's
he'll put it on your heart.
That's kind of what I thought. When the time is right, he'll.
Yeah. So that would be another question I was going to ask. We're closing in on an hour here. We like to try and keep them an hour, but doesn't always happen. Would be the whole thing like that? That's a stereotype. If you leave the Amish community, you're shunned, and you've kind of said, okay, Amish communities are all a little bit different. They're not all the same. But so you weren't shunned or anything. But what if you had just made an absolute mess of your life? I mean, would they still love you and want a relationship with you?
Yeah, I think like I want to say, and I'm not even sure. Like another thing they would tell you is like if I got a tattoo, I'm not positive. They would tell like if you they would say like if you got a tattoo of any sort, no matter what, you are automatically going to hell. No saving you from that.
Wow.
And then like a divorce. Like if I was married, divorced, I'm not sure if they would allow me. To my understanding, that is one where they would draw the line and say no. But almost any other instance, they would. I mean, they'll let you come. I mean, they'll let you back in the door, which is a good thing.
Sure.
But yeah, like as far as the shunning goes, and I know some people. It really makes a difference. Just even within the community, like the parents.
Okay.
You know, they'll let you come back, and others just be like, no, unless you come back to live this Amish lifestyle, you're not.
Yeah, because we've heard of it. We've heard of it happening.
Yeah.
But then I talked to somebody like you, or we know a handful of other people in the area that have left, and they still have contact with their family, and things are okay. Maybe it was a little rough in the beginning, but it's fine now. So you just don't, you know.
Yeah. It was definitely, for me at first, it was, I could go out there at any time I wanted to, but I didn't at first because it was always, the whole conversation was like, well, are you going to come? You know, it was always to try to convince me to come back, and I didn't like that. But when I finally had a conversation, be like, look, it's not the lifestyle. I just have too many questions about it, you know, unless I see a whole bigger picture or whatever. And then once I had that conversation, was honest about it, I mean, it made a significant difference.
Sure. And that's, I mean, that God tells us in his word, seek truth, ask for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as parents, you can't fault your kids for doing exactly what God says to do.
Yeah.
Seek truth, ask, and it'll be given to you, that sort of thing. So whatever your journey is, they as Bible-believing parents, they should respect that, and that's good that they do. That's really good.
Yep. And then going back to like they do have someone, and I won't get in all the details as far, we talked about it briefly, but I mean like their church rules or whatever, where they there's a lot of rules there and stuff. So
yeah. See, and I take that all back to, you know, there's probably some good intentions in that.
Yeah.
But it just either goes too far, or gets abused, or it gets twisted biblically to be something it's not supposed to be. Because, grace and forgiveness has got to be a part of it. The Bible says there's nothing that's, you know, there's nothing that can separate you from the love of God. Meaning you can't do anything that God, that Jesus didn't pay for on the cross.
Yeah. And it ain't up to the church to forgive you. It's up to Jesus.
Right,
you know?
right, yeah.
That's the only true forgiveness, you know. Yeah, we're supposed to forgive one another and stuff like that, you know, if we...
The church is all of us believers in Jesus together. The church, we don't need a father, we don't need a priest, we don't need a church, they're not the authority.
Yeah.
Jesus, the Word of God, the Bible, that's our authority, for sure.
Yeah.
Man, that's been good stuff. I hope we didn't get too theological on our audio. I know our phone conversation went there because that's what I was most curious about, but I think we gave them just a good taste of it, but really let your story come out in this part one, so... guys, that's going to do it for part one with David Raber, former bull rider, ex-Amish community member. Well, he's still an Amish guy. Got Amish family, but he did leave the Amish community. So that's going to do it for part one of his story. I hope the things he shared encouraged you. I'm sure it entertained you. I had some fun too, but maybe even enlightened you a little bit. It's always good to learn from someone else's perspective in their life story. So it was kind of nice to get a glimpse of what it was like being inside the Amish community. Everyone has a story. Everybody's interesting if you just let them share what life has been like for them. But this isn't the end of his episode. There will be a part 2 next week. We're going to get into his segments. We're going to have some laughs, lighten it up a little bit. But we're probably going to get into some serious topics towards the end there, like the disturbing trends we see in culture today. Guys, if you haven't picked up on it, there's a spiritual battle going on. This isn't just, the way of the world, the way it goes. Every generation goes through this. Take a look at some of the perverted stuff that Netflix is pushing towards kids in their programming right now. There is a spiritual battle going on for the hearts and minds of people. Come on. You don't want to miss it. Be sure and come back. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with your family and friends. Sneak a radio into the Amish community. I'm sure they'll appreciate. I'm kidding. Don't do that. Because if they find it, it's contraband. But share it with everyone you know. Okay, we're growing every day. If you got questions, comments, ideas, or you want some What Is Up merch, you can email me, whatisuppodcast@gmail.com. If you need help with something you heard here today or you want to talk deeper, just reach out. I'll respond and help any way I can. I look for those moments, and I field those phone calls and emails all the time. So thank you so much for listening. Your support means a lot to me and my family. Lord willing, I'll talk to you on the next one.
All right, guys, make sure you come back for part 2 to see what is up, because there is lots more to come from where that first one.
Look at that. That was a professional sign-off, David. Very good, man. Very good.